You can give her everything, your time, love, and effort, and still lose her. Because women aren't loyal to what you do, they're loyal to how you make them feel. Watch till the end to understand the truth no one tells men. Comment your city, where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights. You can spend your days doing everything right for a woman. Buy her gifts, plan the perfect dates, solve her problems, and still find her growing distant. It's one of the most confusing experiences for many men. They ask themselves, what did I do wrong? Haven't I been good enough? But here's the truth that stings a little. Women don't fall in love with what you do for them. They fall for how you make them feel. The effort matters, yes, but only when it connects emotionally. Without emotional resonance, your actions are just noise, visible but not felt. A woman's heart doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. It's not about the grand gestures, but about the emotional experiences those gestures create. You could buy her roses every day, but if she doesn't feel seen, heard, or understood, those flowers might as well be plastic. You see, women are not emotionally loyal to men who simply provide. They're loyal to men who can impact their emotional state, men who can bring calm to her chaos, clarity to her confusion, and confidence to her uncertainty. That's why a man who gives her everything can lose her, while another who gives very little can keep her heart. Because the second man touches her at a level the first one doesn't. Emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. She remembers how he makes her feel about herself. She remembers how her energy changes when he enters the room. That's the language of connection, and that's what drives loyalty. So when a woman seems distant, it's rarely because you didn't do enough. It's because she didn't feel enough. Emotional impact is the invisible thread that ties her to you. And this goes beyond romantic gestures. It's in your presence, your tone, your attention. When she speaks, do you listen deeply, or are you waiting for your turn to reply? When she shares something vulnerable, do you create safety, or do you rush to fix it? Women connect through emotion, not solution. The difference may sound small, but it's everything. This is where so many men fall into the trap of performance. They think love is earned through constant doing, helping, pleasing, proving. But emotional loyalty can't be bought through performance. It's built through authenticity. A woman can sense when your effort comes from fear rather than strength. When you do things to earn her approval, instead of expressing genuine care, she feels the energy shift. It becomes transactional, and connection turns into compliance. The psychology behind this is simple yet profound. Emotion creates memory. People don't remember what you said or did. They remember how you made them feel. That's why the emotional imprint you leave on a woman lasts longer than any gift you could give her. When she feels understood, appreciated, and emotionally safe around you, she connects that feeling with you. That's when loyalty forms, not because of what you provide, but because of what you represent to her emotionally. Philosophically, love is not an exchange, it's an experience. You can't trade actions for emotions. Love grows when two people feel something deep enough to stay even when logic says walk away. And for women, that feeling is everything. She may respect your effort, but she's loyal to how you make her feel about herself. If she feels beautiful, valued, and emotionally seen in your presence, she'll attach that experience to your essence. That's why a woman can forgive mistakes, but never forget emotional neglect. To understand this fully, you must stop viewing relationships as tasks and start viewing them as energy exchanges. Every interaction either charges her emotionally or drains her. The words you choose, the calmness in your voice, the steadiness of your presence, all of these affect her more deeply than you realize. When she feels emotionally nourished around you, she doesn't crave external validation or material proof. She craves your presence, your calm, your emotional intelligence. That's what keeps her loyalty rooted. Men often ask, what do women really want? The answer isn't complicated. She wants to feel. She wants to feel excitement, security, admiration, and peace. But most of all, she wants to feel emotionally connected. And that connection doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more present. It comes from a man who listens with empathy, who leads with calm confidence, and who understands that emotional intimacy is not weakness. It's the foundation of influence. When you shift your focus from trying to impress her to trying to understand her, everything changes. She begins to feel emotionally safe, and in that safety, attraction deepens. Women are not loyal to perfection. They are loyal to how you make them feel in your imperfection. Your consistency, your authenticity, your calm presence, these are the things that create emotional loyalty. So stop keeping score of what you've done and start paying attention to what she feels when she's with you. Because loyalty doesn't live in her mind, it lives in her emotional memory. If your presence gives her peace, she'll stay. If it gives her anxiety, she'll leave, no matter what you've done for her. At the end of the day, women don't care how much you do for them. They care about what your presence does to them. Emotional impact is the currency of true connection. When she feels understood, safe, and inspired in your presence, she won't need to compare or question, because loyalty doesn't come from logic. It comes from emotion, and emotion, once deeply felt, is almost impossible to forget. When it comes to loyalty, most men misunderstand what truly earns it. They assume loyalty comes from giving a woman comfort, security, and affection. But that's not what holds her. What she truly stays loyal to is not your money, not your charm, and not even your love. It's your purpose. Women are emotionally drawn to men who are anchored in direction. When a man has a mission that shapes him, disciplines him, and gives meaning to his existence, it creates a gravitational pull that no surface attraction can replace. A woman's emotional connection isn't just to who you are now, it's to where you're going. When she senses that your life has movement, that you're striving for something beyond comfort, her respect deepens. She feels safe in your leadership, not because you control her, but because you lead yourself. That self-leadership, the ability to stay focused on your goals despite distractions, is what earns her trust. It's not dominance, it's discipline. It's the quiet confidence of a man who knows his direction and doesn't need validation to follow it. Psychologically, this has roots in the way attraction works at a deeper level. Women are instinctively drawn to stability, not financial stability alone, but emotional and spiritual stability. A man grounded in purpose radiates a kind of calm certainty. He doesn't chase approval because he's already pursuing something greater. That energy translates into leadership, and leadership creates safety. And safety is the foundation of loyalty. When a woman feels that your presence brings direction, not confusion, clarity, not chaos, her natural response is to trust, support, and align. But when a man loses his purpose, everything else begins to crumble. He may still care, still give, still try, but the energy behind his actions changes. He starts to move from strength to desperation, from confidence to insecurity. And women feel that shift immediately. It's not what you say, it's what your energy communicates. A man disconnected from his purpose becomes reactive, emotionally unstable, and inconsistent. And no matter how much affection or effort he offers, she won't feel anchored in him anymore. Because loyalty doesn't follow neediness, it follows direction. Think of purpose as the compass of masculinity. It's what gives meaning to your presence and structure to your actions. Without it, even love feels uncertain. A woman can love a man deeply, but if she senses that he's lost, that his inner fire is fading, she begins to emotionally drift. Not because she's shallow, but because instinctively, she no longer feels safe following where he's headed. Loyalty isn't about holding on when everything is falling apart. It's about believing that who you are has the strength to rebuild. And this is where many men misunderstand emotional connection. They try to secure loyalty through comfort rather than direction. They over-give, over-explain, and over-please, thinking it will make her stay. But loyalty can't be begged for, it's inspired. When a man stands firm in who he is, when his presence communicates focus and self-respect, a woman naturally aligns with that energy. She feels safe enough to trust his leadership because he's proven he can lead himself. Philosophically speaking, purpose is not just about ambition or success, it's about identity. It's knowing who you are, what you value, and what you refuse to compromise. A man anchored in his values becomes magnetic because he represents something unshakable in a world full of uncertainty. That's what women attach to, not the illusion of perfection, but the reality of stability. She doesn't need you to be flawless, she needs you to be centered. She needs to feel that your strength is not situational. It's internal. Purpose also gives meaning to your emotional control. When a man has direction, he doesn't get easily swayed by temporary moods, rejection, or insecurity. He can listen calmly, speak with intention, and act with clarity. That balance is intoxicating to a woman because it shows mastery. Emotional steadiness is rare, and purpose creates it. When your focus is higher than your feelings, she senses leadership that's not rooted in ego, but in vision. And when she follows that kind of man, it's not submission, it's trust. It's her way of saying, I believe in where you're going and I want to be part of it. That's the kind of loyalty that outlives physical attraction or material provision. Because what she's loyal to isn't you as an individual. It's what you represent: a sense of progress, strength, and emotional direction. She stays because she sees movement. And in that movement, she finds purpose for herself too. But the moment you abandon your direction for her comfort, you start to lose both. Because now, instead of leading from strength, you're following from fear, and that fear translates into emotional instability, something no woman can remain loyal to for long. She may sympathize, she may care, but she won't feel inspired, and loyalty without inspiration eventually fades. So, if you want her loyalty, stop focusing on how to keep her and start focusing on how to keep your purpose alive. Stay hungry for growth, consistent in your discipline, and intentional in your decisions. Let her see that your life has vision, not just affection. Because when a woman feels your purpose, she doesn't just respect you, she believes in you. And belief is the truest form of loyalty there is. At the end of the day, loyalty doesn't follow comfort, it follows conviction. It follows a man who leads himself with focus, integrity, and direction. When your purpose speaks louder than your words, her heart listens differently. She aligns not because she has to, but because she wants to. Remember this, women aren't loyal to what you do for them, they're loyal to what your purpose awakens in them. Lead yourself first and loyalty will follow effortlessly. So many men today are trapped in the exhausting cycle of trying to please women, thinking that if they're kind enough, attentive enough, or selfless enough, they'll finally be seen as worthy. But that's the great illusion. Because the moment you start living to please, you stop leading. You silence your true self to maintain her approval, and in doing so, you lose the very essence of what first drew her to you, your authenticity. Authentic masculinity is not about dominance or control, it's about presence and truth. It's about being so deeply aligned with who you are that you no longer bend to fit someone else's expectations. When a man is authentic, he doesn't need to overcompensate, explain, or seek permission to be himself. His calm confidence says it all. He speaks less, but his energy communicates everything. And that right there is what commands loyalty. Because here's the truth: women don't fall in love with perfection, they fall in love with consistency, with certainty, with a man whose actions match his words. You can't fake authenticity. You can't rehearse it. It's something you embody. It's the quiet power that comes from knowing your values, owning your flaws, and standing your ground even when it's uncomfortable. A man like that doesn't chase validation, and that's exactly why he receives it. Psychologically, when a woman senses authenticity, it creates a deep emotional imprint. She relaxes around you because your energy feels stable, predictable in the best way. There's no manipulation, no guessing game. She knows where she stands with you because you know where you stand with yourself. And when she can trust that foundation, she doesn't need to constantly test or question it. That's where real loyalty begins, not from fear of losing you, but from peace in knowing you. But when a man starts living to please, something subtle but dangerous happens. His intentions become rooted in fear, fear of rejection, fear of disapproval, fear of abandonment. And when fear drives your behavior, you become reactive instead of intentional. You start overthinking every move, every message, every word, hoping to earn emotional approval. But the more you give from fear, the less respect you receive, because on an unconscious level, women can feel it. They can sense when your actions come from confidence versus when they come from insecurity. A man who tries too hard to keep a woman will eventually lose himself. And when you lose yourself, she loses interest. Because loyalty can't grow where authenticity has died. Women don't want a man who bends every time the wind blows. They want a man who can stand still when life gets stormy. That doesn't mean being rigid, it means being grounded. You can adapt without losing your center. You can listen without abandoning your truth. Philosophically, authenticity is the bridge between strength and compassion. It's what separates arrogance from confidence. The authentic man doesn't need to prove his worth. He lives it. His masculinity isn't loud or performative. It's steady and self-assured. He doesn't need to dominate others to feel powerful. His power comes from mastery of his emotions, his words, and his purpose. That's the kind of man who earns not just loyalty, but admiration. And here's something few understand: women test men not to punish them, but to feel them. They test to see if your words hold weight, if your emotions are anchored, if your boundaries are real. Every time you stand firm in your authenticity, she feels safer. Every time you abandon your truth to avoid conflict, she feels something break. Respect erodes. Attraction fades, because in her eyes, your willingness to betray yourself to please her makes you unreliable. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. Authenticity is not emotional detachment. It's emotional clarity. It's being able to love deeply while still saying no when it's needed. It's the balance between giving and maintaining boundaries. Women don't lose respect for men who care. They lose respect for men who collapse under pressure to be liked. When you are authentic, your yes means something, and so does your no. That's what creates trust. That's what builds loyalty. Because a woman knows she's not being manipulated or appeased, she's being led with honesty. That energy draws her in because it reflects stability, maturity, and integrity, and loyalty at its core is a reflection of trust, trust that you will remain who you are even when it's not convenient. There's something profoundly magnetic about a man who stands alone in his truth. He doesn't chase attention, yet attention finds him. He doesn't beg for loyalty, yet loyalty follows him. Because people, especially women, are instinctively drawn to strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It's not about control, it's about calmness. The man who knows who he is commands respect without raising his voice. In a world that constantly pressures men to be more agreeable, more flexible, more pleasing, the man who chooses authenticity stands out. Not because he's trying to be different, but because he refuses to be false. And that authenticity is what women can trust. That's what they can build with. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about knowing that even when things get tough, your sense of self remains unshaken. So stop trying to make her stay. Stop trying to impress her, fix her, or win her over. Instead, start mastering yourself. Build your character. Strengthen your emotional discipline. When your energy comes from truth, you don't need to chase validation. It finds you. Because authenticity is power, and when you embody it, everything else, respect, attraction, and yes, loyalty flows naturally. At the end of the day, remember this, a woman's loyalty isn't captured through pleasing behavior. It's commanded through presence. When you stand in your truth, you remind her of what's real. When you lead with strength and authenticity, you awaken trust that no amount of charm can replace. She won't follow you because you demand it. She'll follow because your authenticity makes her believe in you. And that's the ultimate secret. You don't earn loyalty by giving everything away. You earn it by being a man who doesn't need to pretend. A man who is enough because he's real,